12 years ago, Jack Sullivan cradled his wife and daughter as their blood soaked the Juarez sand. But what if the cartel kingpin who laughed that day kept Emily's bracelet not as a trophy, but a confession? Tonight, in Rio Grande, Texas, a child's scream pierces the dark. "Mom, save me!" as Jack faces a monster who might be more human than he dares admit. Will vengeance blind him, or will a hidden truth shatter everything? Subscribe now and help us hit 1,000 subscribers to uncover this explosive tale. 12 years ago, Jack Sullivan cradled his wife and daughter as their blood soaked the Juarez sand. But what if the cartel kingpin who laughed that day kept Emily's bracelet not as a trophy, but a confession? Tonight in Rio Grande, Texas, a child's scream pierces the dark. "Mom, save me!" as Jack faces a monster who might be more human than he dares admit. Will vengeance blind him, or will a hidden truth shatter everything? Subscribe now and help us hit 1,000 subscribers to uncover this explosive tale. Jack Sullivan stood on the sagging porch of his weathered ranch house, the Texas dawn painting the horizon in streaks of orange and crimson. The Rio Grande snaked through the earth 12 miles south, a dull blade cutting the border between hope and hell. Coffee steamed in his calloused hands, but his steel-gray eyes never rested, scanning the plains like a hawk on a wire. 27 years in Delta Force had carved vigilance into his bones, a habit he couldn't shake even after 1,000 days of so-called retirement. He didn't count those days, not since Kandahar, not since the cartel gunfire stole Laura and Emily from him in a Juarez alley 12 years back. The phone buzzed harshly on the wooden railing, shattering the silence. Jack glanced at it, irritation flickering across his weathered face. 49 years of combat had etched deep lines there, a map of loss and survival. He picked it up, his voice gravelly and curt. "Sullivan." "Morning, Reaper," came the familiar drawl of Colonel Daniel Pierce, a man whose clipped tone carried the weight of decades in the shadows. "Long time?" Jack straightened instinctively, the old call sign, Reaper, dragging him back to blood-soaked nights. "Didn't expect to hear from you again, Colonel. What's the play?" "You still at that detention gig? Rio Grande ICE facility?" Pierce's voice tightened, no room for small talk. 3 years, security consultation, Jack replied, his grip on the mug tightening. "What? Not anymore. You're head of security now. Paperwork's done, straight from the top." Pierce paused, letting the words sink in. "Intel says the Santa Rosa cartel's planning something big. Targets your facility." Jack's jaw clenched, coffee forgotten as he set the mug down with a thud that splintered the railing. Why hit a detention center? Drugs? Smuggling? "That's what you're going to find out," Pierce said. "We've authorized a special unit, former operators, all of them. They report to you by 1,800 today. Files are in your secure email." "Who am I protecting, Colonel?" Jack's voice dropped, sharp as a blade. "Everyone," Pierce replied, cryptic and final. "That's all you need for now." The line went dead. Jack stood motionless, the desert wind tugging at his faded flannel shirt. War had found him again, just when he thought he'd buried it alongside Laura and Emily. He walked inside to a cramped office, the walls bare except for a single framed photo. Him, Laura, and 6-year-old Emily, smiling under a summer sun. He hadn't looked at it in months, but now his fingers brushed the glass, a tremor running through him. Opening his laptop, 6 personnel files glowed on the screen, each a testament to lethal precision. Ryan Keller, ex-Navy SEAL, a stocky Texan with eyes like a predator. Lisa Harper, Army Intel, a sharp-featured woman whose mind cut through chaos like a scalpel. Tom "Doc" Grayson, Special Forces medic, his steady hands scarred from saving lives in hellholes no one named. Nate Brooks, Green Beret demolitions ace, a quiet giant with a knack for breaking things and people. Sophia Morales, ex-DEA undercover, a fierce Latina whose file hinted at a personal stake in Santa Rosa's downfall. And then Jack himself, Reaper, the ghost who'd walked away from war. Or so he thought. A classified update blinked red. Detainee Camila Ortiz, high-value witness, federal custody, false identity Maria Diaz. Testimony could dismantle Santa Rosa. Cartel infiltration suspected. Jack's pulse quickened. Santa Rosa, the name seared through him like a bullet dragging up that Juarez night. Laura's scream, Emily's tiny body crumpling, the laughter of Miguel Salazar echoing over the gunfire as he vanished into the dark. No proof, no justice, just graves and rage buried together. He pulled an old cigar box from a drawer, flipping it open to reveal a faded letter. Emily's last drawing, a stick figure family under a rainbow, Daddy scrawled in crayon. His throat tightened, but he shoved it back, slamming the drawer shut. Fate had thrown him into Salazar's path again, and this time he wouldn't let it slip away. His phone rang again, Pierce no preamble. "One more thing, Jack. We intercepted a recording yesterday. Salazar talking to his lieutenants about a job stateside. He mentioned Emily, your Emily, said her death was an amusing accident he still chuckles about." Jack's fist smashed into the desk, wood cracking under the blow. His vision blurred red, breath ragged as Pierce's voice cut through. "You in or out, Reaper?" "In," Jack growled, the word a vow etched in stone. "Send me everything." Back on the porch, he dumped the cold coffee into the dust, eyes locked on the horizon where Mexico bled into Texas. The facility loomed in his mind, a concrete sprawl of chain-link fences and razor wire, home to over 2,000 migrants, a tinderbox of desperation. He'd walked its perimeter for 3 years, suggesting upgrades no one funded, watching guards like Mike nod respectfully at his resume without knowing the man behind it. Now it was a battlefield, and he was its reluctant general. He drove his battered F-150 toward the facility, dusk swirling in his wake. The gate guard, Mike, waved him through with a grin. "Morning, Mr. Sullivan. Or should I say, Chief Sullivan now." "Just Jack," he muttered, parking near the admin building. Linda Walsh, the new facility director, met him inside, her nervous handshake betraying the chaos behind her promotion. "Something's off, Jack," she whispered as they walked the sterile halls. "Alvarez was reassigned yesterday, suddenly, like your bump up. What's happening?" "Orders," Jack said, his tone flat but his mind racing. He studied the facility with fresh eyes, blind spots in the north fence, cameras too sparse, a skeleton crew at night. It wasn't built for war, but war was coming. In the security office, he pulled up a map, tracing entry points with a soldier's instinct. Why Santa Rosa? Why now? The answers hid in Camila Ortiz's file, in the shadowed depths of Salazar's empire. And maybe in the bracelet Jack didn't yet know existed, a relic of a past that refused to stay buried. Jack Sullivan's truck roared into the Rio Grande Ice Facility's loading bay at precisely 1,300 hours, gravel crunching under the tires like bones snapping in the stillness. The midday sun beat down on the concrete sprawl, glinting off razor wire that crowned the fences like a jagged halo. He stepped out, boots thudding against the dust, and met a delivery driver, a wiry woman whose clipped movements screamed ex-military despite her faded overall. "Chief Sullivan?" she asked, handing him a biometric scanner. Jack pressed his thumb to it, the beep slicing through the tension as she unloaded 6 metal cases stamped with government seals, tactical gear, weapons, enough to wage a small war. He hauled the cases into a secure storage room, cracking one open to reveal body armor and night vision goggles nestled like predator's eyes in black foam. This wasn't security detail equipment. This was a soldier's lifeline, the kind he'd carried into Kandahar's shadows. His gut twisted. Colonel Pierce wasn't prepping him for a skirmish. This was a full-on assault. The question gnawed at him. Who was Camila Ortiz, and why did Santa Rosa want her bad enough to storm U.S. soil? At 1,800 hours, a black SUV rolled up to the main gate, disgorging 5 figures who moved like wolves, economical, aware, lethal. Jack met them in a makeshift command center, maps papering the walls and surveillance feeds flickering on screens. "At ease," he said, closing the door behind him. They relaxed, but only just, their eyes sizing him up as he sized them. "Ryan Keller," the first said, a stocky Texan with a SEAL's swagger and a handshake that could crush stone. "Weapons specialist, Team 6, Jack nodded. He'd seen Ryan's type dismantle a room full of hostiles without breaking a sweat. Lisa Harper came the next, a lean woman with sharp hazel eyes and brown hair pulled tight. Army intel, surveillance, and signals. Her voice was cool, precise, a mind built for puzzles. "Tom Grayson, call me Doc," said an older man, his weathered face steady as his hands flexed, scarred from stitching men back together under fire. "Special Forces medic." "Nate Brooks," rumbled a tall black man, his half-smile not reaching his serious eyes. "Green Beret, demolitions and perimeter." Jack clocked the quiet power in him, the kind that leveled buildings and men alike. Sofia Morales, the last, stepped forward, her Latina features fierce, her gaze unflinching. "Dia undercover, now ICE. I've danced with Santa Rosa before." Her file had hinted at it, 2 years deep in the cartel's belly, pulled out just before it swallowed her whole. "And Jack Sullivan," he said, meeting each stare. "You've got the briefs. Santa Rosa's coming hard and this facility's the bullseye. Questions?" "Only what we're really up against," Ryan said, arms crossed. "Cartel doesn't hit federal sites without a damn good reason." Jack tapped his laptop, pulling up Camila's file on the screen. "Her name's Camila Ortiz, alias Maria Diaz, Women's Wing. She's a witness in a federal case. Intel says her testimony could gut Santa Rosa's whole operation." Sophia leaned in, her eyes narrowing at the photo, a slender woman with long dark hair and a haunted look. "Who is she to them?" "Files thin," Jack admitted. "High value enough they bypassed witness protection, hid her here under a fake name. Cartels moving men and gear across the border, weeks of buildup. They've got someone inside, too." "They always do," Sophia said flatly, her voice edged with something raw. "Santa Rosa doesn't move this big without eyes on the ground." Lisa's fingers danced over a tablet, pulling up encrypted chatter. "Found something. Intercepted 2 days ago. Mentions a financial ghost who could bleed the family dry." "That's her?" Jack nodded, gears turning. "Sounds like she's got their books, money trails, bribes, assets, billions worth of leverage." "Then why's she still breathing?" Nate asked, leaning against the wall. "Cartel's not shy about tying loose ends." "Maybe she's got insurance," Doc suggested, his tone grim. "Something they're scared to lose." The room went quiet, the weight of that sinking in. Jack broke it, voice low. "We secure the facility, find the insider, protect Camila. Timeline's tight. Could be days, could be hours." "Complications?" Lisa asked, already tapping into the facility's systems. "Congressional visit tomorrow," Jack said. "Media, advocates, the works. Can't cancel without tipping our hand." Ryan smirked. "Great. Politicians and bullets, my favorite mix." "Rules of engagement?" Nate pressed, eyes locked on Jack. "Official, defensive only, minimum force," Jack said, pausing. "Unofficially, they're here to kill her and anyone in their way. We stop them, whatever it takes." A silent nod rippled through the team, a pact forged in shared steel. "Gears in storage," Jack said. "Ryan, Nate, audit the perimeter. Lisa, lock down surveillance. Doc, prep medical. Sophia, you're with me. We're finding Camila." As they dispersed, Sophia lingered, her voice dropping. "Jack, there's something you need to know. Camila, she was my contact when I was undercover. She's not just a witness. She was Salazar's financial brain. She knows where every dollar's buried." Jack's eyes narrowed. "That's not in the file." "It wouldn't be," she said, hesitating. "It's need to know, highest clearance. And there's more. She's got a kid, Louis, 8 years old. Salazar's got him, somewhere south of the border. That's why she turned, to get him out. The air thickened, Jack's pulse hammering. A kid? Why the hell didn't Pierce tell me? Maybe he didn't want you distracted, Sophia said, her gaze steady. Or maybe he's playing a bigger game. I don't know if he knew my history when he picked me. 2 years with Santa Rosa, Jack. I got out, but not clean. He studied her, the fierce Latina who'd walked through hell and back. Trust was a razor's edge, but her eyes held no lie, only scars. You're here now, he said finally. That's what counts, let's move. They headed for the women's wing, Jack's mind spinning. Camila wasn't just a witness, she was a mother fighting for her son, a pawn in a cartel's chess game, and a key that could unlock his own past. Salazar's laughter from that Juarez night echoed in his skull, sharper now with Sophia's revelation. What did Camila know that made her worth this war, and what did Louise mean to the monster who'd taken Emily? Outside, the sun dipped low, shadows stretching across the facility like fingers clawing from the border. Jack's hand brushed the pistol at his hip, a cold comfort as he stepped into the fray. The team was his shield, Camila his mission, but the ghosts of Laura and Emily were his fire, burning hotter with every step. The Rio Grande ice facility hummed with deceptive calm as night draped its concrete corridors in shadow, the air thick with the tang of bleach and desperation. Jack Sullivan stood in a dimly lit interrogation room, the buzz of fluorescent lights overhead scraping at his nerves. Across from him, Carlos Ruiz, the facility guard with a scar snaking down his neck, sat zip-tied to a chair, his smirk flickering like a dying flame. Sofia Morales flanked Jack, her dark eyes boring into Carlos. She'd pegged him as a Santa Rosa plant the moment he'd flinched at her voice. "We know you're theirs," Jack said, his tone low and cold, a predator circling prey. "Spill it. Salazar's plan, numbers, timeline, now." Kalu spat on the floor, the sound wet and defiant. "You think you're tough, Sullivan. You're just a washed-up grunt playing hero." Jack's fist twitched, but Sophia stepped in, her voice slicing through the tension. "I saw you at Salazar's compound 2 years back, guarding his cash house in Chihuahua. You're no grunt, you're a rat." Carlos's eyes widened, recognition sparking before he masked it with a sneer. "Prove it, gringa." Before Jack could press harder, a faint buzz cut the air, a burner phone vibrating in Carlos's pocket. Jack yanked it free, the screen glowing with an unknown number. He hit answer, holding it to his ear, and the room froze as a child's scream erupted through the speaker. "Mom! Mom, save me! They're hurting me!" The voice, high, ragged, terrified, clawed at Jack's chest, dragging up Emily's cries from that Juarez night 12 years ago. Sophia's hand flew to her mouth, her breath hitching. Then came Miguel Salazar's voice, smooth and venomous, dripping through the line like oil over a blade. "Sullivan, I know you're listening. Reaper, isn't it? Tell Camila her boy Luis says hello. He's got 8 years worth of screams left if she doesn't come out. You've got till dawn or I carve him slow." A muffled sob followed, then a laugh, that same guttural chuckle Jack had heard over Laura's dying gasps. The call cut dead. Jack's vision tunneled, the phone creaking in his grip as his knuckles whitened. Sophia stumbled back, slamming a fist into the wall. "Luis, that's her son. He's supposed to be safe with her mother in Juarez. How the hell did Salazar get him?" "Inside job," Jack growled, rounding on Carlos. "You set this up?" Carlos laughed, a hollow, nervous sound. "I just watch doors, man. I don't call shots." Jack grabbed him by the collar, lifting him until the chair tipped. "You're gonna watch your own blood spill if you don't talk." "Jack, stop," Sophia snapped, pulling him back. "We need him alive. He's our link." He dropped Carlos, the chair clattering back, and paced the room, fury boiling under his skin. That laugh, Salazar's laugh, was a spike through his skull, every echo tying this night to the one that broke him. He keyed his comms. "Lisa, get Camila here, now." Minutes later, Lisa Harper escorted Camila Ortiz into the room. A slender woman with long dark hair and eyes hollowed by fear, her hands trembling as she clutched a thin sweater. She froze at Carlos's scarred face, her voice a whisper. "He worked for Miguel. I saw him at the mansion." Jack held up the phone. "Camila, listen to me. Salazar just called. He's got Luis." Her knees buckled, a wail tearing from her throat as she sank to the floor. No. He was with my mother. I left him to keep him safe." Tears streaked her face, her fingers clawing at the concrete. "I turned on Miguel to save him. I gave the feds everything, the accounts, the bribes, his whole empire, and now he's got my baby." Sophia knelt beside her, gripping her shoulders. "Camila, look at me. We'll get him back, I swear it." Jack's chest tightened, Emily's crayons and Laura's soft humming flashing through his mind. He crouched, voice steady despite the storm inside. "I lost my family to that bastard, Camila. I won't let him take yours. But I need you to hold it together. Tell me what he wants." She sobbed, choking out words. "Me. He wants me dead before I testify. Luis is his leverage. He'll kill him if I don't go." "Then we don't give him what he wants," Jack said, standing. "We take him down first." Sophia rose, wiping her eyes. "Jack, we've got a bigger problem. Lisa just pinged me. There's another signal, encrypted, going out from inside the facility. It's not Carlos." Jack's head snapped to her. "What?" "Someone else on our team's talking to Salazar," Sophia said, her voice trembling but firm. "I don't know who, but they're here right now." The words hit like a gut punch. Jack's eyes swept the comms link. Ryan, Lisa, Doc, Nate, each a blade he'd trusted at his back. He grabbed Sophia's arm, pulling her aside. "You were DEA, 2 years undercover with Santa Rosa. You telling me this isn't you?" Her face hardened, but tears welled up. "I worked for him, Jack, to keep my brother Mateo alive. They had him just like Luis. I got out, turned on them, but I swear on my life, I'm not the leak now." She yanked her sleeve up, revealing a jagged scar across her forearm. "This is what I got for betraying Salazar. You think I'd go back?" Jack stared at the scar, then her eyes, raw, fierce, broken. He wanted to believe her, needed to, but doubt gnawed at him like rust on steel. "Prove it," he said, voice low. "Find the signal." She nodded, brushing past him to join Lisa at the surveillance rig. Jack turned back to Camila, still crumpled on the floor, her sobs echoing in the barren room. He saw Emily in her small, scared, calling for him, and the weight of that failure crushed him anew. "Salazar's got till dawn," he muttered, more to himself than anyone. "We've got less to figure out who's screwing us from the inside." He keyed his comms again. "Ryan, Nate, perimeter status. Doc, prep for casualties. Lisa, Sophia, trace that signal, fast." Outside, the desert wind howled, carrying the scent of blood and betrayal closer with every gust. Jack's hand rested on his pistol, the cold metal grounding him as Luis's scream looped in his head. A child's life hanging by a thread, and a traitor lurking in his ranks. The security office of the Rio Grande ICE facility pulsed with tension, the air heavy with the hum of monitors and the faint echo of Camila Ortiz's sobs from the next room. Jack Sullivan stood over a digital map, its glowing lines tracing the facility's vulnerabilities, north fence blind spots, south gate choke points, a skeleton crew of guards oblivious to the storm brewing beyond the razor wire. His team moved with practiced urgency. Lisa Harper hunched over her laptop, hunting the rogue signal Sofia Morales had flagged. Doc Grayson prepped trauma kits in the corner, his steady hands a quiet anchor. Ryan Keller and Nate Brooks were out on the perimeter, their comms crackling with updates. Sophia paced near Jack, her scarred forearm catching the light as she chewed her lip, doubt shadowing her fierce eyes. "Signal still active," Lisa said, her voice tight. "Encrypted, bouncing off a relay. Someone's talking to Salazar, real time." Jack's jaw clenched, his mind racing through the faces of his team. Ryan's seal grit, Doc's calm resolve, Nate's quiet bulk, Sophia's haunted past. One of them was a knife in his back, and Luisa's scream still rang in his ears. A child's life ticking down to Salazar's dawn deadline. "Narrow it down," he ordered Lisa. "I want a name." Sophia stopped pacing, facing him. "Jack, if it's me you're doubting, just say it. I've been under fire with you. I'd die before I'd sell out Camila." He met her gaze, steel clashing with fire. "You've got scars, Sophia. But scars don't prove loyalty. 2 years with Santa Rosa leaves a mark deeper than skin." Her fists balled, but before she could retort, a deafening blast rocked the facility's south wall. Alarms shrieked, red lights flashing as dust rained from the ceiling. Jack stumbled, catching himself on the map table, his comms exploding with Ryan's voice. "South fence breached. Hostiles inbound, 10, maybe 12, armed to the teeth." "Early," Jack growled, yanking his pistol free. "They weren't supposed to hit till 200. Someone tipped them off." He shot Sophia a hard look, but she was already moving, grabbing a rifle from the gear cache. "Prove it out there," she snapped, slamming a mag home. "I'm with you." They sprinted to the south corridor, Lisa's voice barking updates through their earpieces. Ryan's pinned near the generator. Nate's covering the east flank. Cameras show tactical gear, military grade. "This isn't cartel muscle, it's a strike team." Jack rounded a corner, Sophia at his 6, and the firefight slammed into them like a wave. Muzzle flashes lit the hallway, bullets chewing concrete as Ryan ducked behind an overturned desk, returning fire with lethal precision. 3 cartel operators advanced, their movements crisp, trained ex-special forces, Jack clocked instantly. He dove for cover, squeezing off 2 rounds that dropped one hostile mid-step, blood blooming dark on the floor. Sophia flanked left, her rifle barking as she nailed another, but a third swung toward Ryan, weapon raised. Jack shouted, "Keller, down!" Ryan dropped just as the shot rang out. But it wasn't the hostile's bullet that hit. A sickening thud echoed as Ryan crumpled, clutching his chest, blood seeping through his fingers. "No!" Jack roared, lunging from cover to drag Ryan back, bullets zipping past his head. Sophia laid down suppressive fire, her shots forcing the last operator to retreat. Jack hauled Ryan into an alcove, his hands slick with blood as he pressed them over the wound. "Stay with me, damn it!" Ryan's breath rasped, his predator eyes dimming. "Jack, don't doubt her." He fumbled at his vest, pulling a crumpled photo, him with a wife and 2 kids smiling at a beach. "Always carried him, like you, with Laura." His voice faded, head lolling, as blood pooled beneath him. Jack's vision blurred, tears burning as he clutched the photo, Ryan's blood smearing the faces. "You stupid bastard," he whispered, slamming a fist into the wall. Emily's crayons flashed in his mind, her stick-figure family, Daddy in red, and now Ryan's family joined her, another scar on his soul. Sophia grabbed his shoulder, yanking him up. "Jack, we've got more coming. Move!" He staggered to his feet, rage and grief warring inside as they fell back to the security office. Lisa met them at the door, her face pale. "Jack, I've got at the signal's source. It's Nate." "Nate?" Jack's voice cracked, disbelief warring with fury. "Brooks, the Green Beret?" "Tracked his comms unit," Lisa said, pulling up a log. "He's been pinging Salazar's relay since we got here. Last message, they're on to Ruiz, hit now." Jack's world tilted. Nate, the quiet giant who'd rigged the perimeter, who'd nodded at his orders with that half smile. A traitor? "Where is he?" "East flank," Lisa said. "He's still out there, or he was." A second explosion rocked the east wing, glass shattering somewhere down the hall. Nate's voice crackled through the comms, calm as ever. "Jack, east fence is clear. I'm holding position." "Liar," Jack hissed, slamming his comms off. He turned to Sophia. "You're with me. We're hunting him." "Wait," Lisa cut in. "There's more. Intercepted a fragment from Salazar's end. Nate's wife. She's alive? A prisoner south of the border. They've had her for months. That's his price." Sophia swore under her breath, her eyes flickering with something raw. Empathy, maybe? Or memory of her own brother, Mateo? Jack's grip tightened on his pistol, Ryan's blood still warm on his hands. Doesn't change a damn thing. He sold us out. Ryan's dead because of him. He's got a family, Jack, Sophia said, voice low. Like I did. Like you did. Salazar twists that knife, you know it. And now Luis is next, Jack shot back, storming toward the door. Nate made his choice. We end this. They moved into the east corridor, smoke curling from the breach Nate had orchestrated. Jack's mind churned, Ryan bleeding out, Camilla's sobs for Luis, Emily's laughter snuffed by Salazar's men. Nate's betrayal cut deeper than the cartel's bullets, a fracture in the shield he'd built. Was it desperation or cowardice? And if Jack found him, could he pull the trigger on a man who'd traded one family for another? Outside, the night roared with gunfire, the desert wind carrying the stench of cordite and death. Jack led Sophia into the fray, a hunter turned prey, chasing a shadow that wore a friend's face. The Rio Grande ice facility shuddered under the weight of chaos as midnight bled into the early hours of March 3, 2025. Smoke coiled through the east corridor like a living thing, curling around Jack Sullivan's boots as he led Sophia Morales through the wreckage Nate Brooks had left behind. The air stank of charred metal and gunpowder, the walls pocked with bullet scars from the cartel's premature assault. Ryan Keller's blood still stained Jack's hands, a crimson tattoo of loss that burned hotter with every step. His comms crackled with Lisa Harper's voice, sharp and urgent. Jack! South team splitting, half heading for the women's wing, half toward admin. Nate's gone dark. Copy! Jack snarled, his pistol steady as he scanned the shadows. Sophia, with me. We're locking down Camilla. Lisa, get Doc to her, now. Sophia nodded, her rifle slung tight against her shoulder, her scarred forearm tense as she matched his pace. If they're hitting the women's wing, they know where she is, she said, her voice edged with dread. Salazar's not guessing. He's certain. Jack's gut twisted. Nate's betrayal had gutted them, handing Salazar the keys to their defenses and maybe Camilla's exact cell. They sprinted through the facility, emergency lights casting crimson slashes across their path, the wail of alarms a relentless drumbeat. Detainees' muffled cries seeped from locked cells. A chorus of fear Jack couldn't answer. His focus narrowed to one name, Luis, the 8-year-old whose scream had shattered Camilla's resolve and echoed Emily's in his own fractured memory. They reached the women's wing, the night guard snapping to attention at Jack's barked command. Ice business? Sophia said, flashing her badge with a fabricated code Lambda 749, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. The guard unlocked Camilla's cell, revealing a figure curled on a thin cot, dark hair spilling over her face like a shroud. Camilla, Jack said, kneeling beside her. It started. We're moving you now. Her head jerked up, eyes wild with terror. Luis! He's got my Luis! I heard him, Jack. I heard him scream. She clutched his arm, nails digging in. Let me go to him. I'll trade myself, please. Jack's throat tightened, Emily's voice whispering through the years, Daddy, help me, before the gunfire silenced her. He gripped Camilla's shoulders, firm but gentle. I lost my daughter to Salazar. I won't lose your son. We're fighting for both of you, but you've gotta trust me. She nodded, tears streaming, and Sophia helped her up, whispering, We'll get him back, Hermana. They moved her out, Jack taking point as the facility's lights flickered, then died. Darkness swallowed them, emergency backups kicking in with a sickly blue glow. Lisa's voice cut through the comms. Power's cut, they've hit the grid, generators next. Salazar's playbook, Sophia muttered, her rifle sweeping the hall. Disable, disorient, destroy. A staccato burst of gunfire erupted from the south, followed by a thunderous crash, the generator building. Jack's comms flared again, Doc Grayson's comm breaking. Jack, south entrance breached. 4 hostiles inside, moving fast. I've got Camila in admin, but they're closing. Hold tight, Jack ordered, leading Sophia and Camila through a service corridor toward the administrative wing. The shadows danced with threats, every corner a potential ambush. His leg ached where an old shrapnel wound throbbed, Kandahar's parting gift, but he pushed it down, fueled by Ryan's last words and Luis's distant cry. They reached the admin section, Doc waiting behind a barricade of desks, his medic's hands now gripping a shotgun. "She's secure," he said, nodding to Camila, who huddled against a wall, her sobs muffled by her sweater. "But we've got company, fast movers, east and south." Jack surveyed the setup, bulletproof windows, one entry, and emergency exit. "Good work. Sophia, cover the door, Doc, stay with her." He keyed his comms. "Lisa, eyes on the breach teams?" "Seth groups at the central hub, 7 left after Ryan's stand," Lisa reported, her voice taut. "East teams 4 coming through the fire exit, Nate's handiwork. And Jack, helicopter inbound, south yard, no transponder." "Extraction," Jack said, his blood running cold. "Salazar's here." Sophia's eyes widened. "He's coming himself? For Camila?" "He wants her dead before she talks," Jack said, checking his mag. "And he'll burn this place down to get her." A sudden roar split the night, the chopper's blade slicing the air as it touched down in the exercise yard. Jack peered through the reinforced glass, spotting figures spilling out, 4 operators in tactical black securing the LZ with military precision, then a tall man in a tailored suit despite the chaos. Miguel Salazar, his sharp features unmistakable from intel photos. Beside him, Hector Vargas, Salazar's scarred enforcer, barked orders, a predator unleashed. Jack's grip tightened on his weapon, Salazar's laughter from Juarez ringing in his skull, the same laugh that mocked Emily's death, now taunting Luis's life. "He's mine," he growled, starting for the door. "Jack, wait," Sophia grabbed his arm, her voice fierce. "You go out there, you're dead, Camila's next. We need you here." "She's right," Doc said, his steady gaze cutting through Jack's rage. "This isn't about revenge, it's about her and that kid." Jack froze, torn between the fire in his veins and the mission at his feet. Salazar's voice boomed over the facility intercom, smooth and chilling. "Sullivan, I know you're in there. Hand over Camila Ortiz and my men stand down. You've got 5 minutes, or we start with the guards, then the detainees." "He's bluffing," Sophia said, her rifle trained on the door. "He won't risk the fallout." "Doesn't matter," Jack said, his mind racing. "He's got Luis. He'll play any card to break her." Camila whimpered, rocking back and forth. "My baby. He's got my baby." Jack crouched beside her, his voice softening. "Camila, listen. I heard Emily scream once. I couldn't save her. I'll die before I let that happen to Luis. We're moving you deeper. Admin's not enough." She nodded faintly, clinging to his words like a lifeline. Jack stood, barking into his comms. "Lisa, reroute us. Secure room, sub-level." "Sophia, Doc, on me. We're not losing her." Outside, the chopper's searchlight swept the yard, Salazar's silhouette a dark promise against the blaze. Jack led his team into the fray, the night alive with fire and shadow, every second a gamble between justice and vengeance, and a child's life hanging in the balance. The administrative wing of the Rio Grande ICE facility trembled as the clock ticked past 200, the walls groaning under the strain of explosions and gunfire. Jack Sullivan led Sophia Morales and Doc Grayson through a labyrinth of corridors, Camila Ortiz stumbling between them, her tear-streaked face a mask of terror and resolve. The air was thick with smoke and the acrid sting of CS gas, seeping through breached vents despite Lisa Harper's frantic efforts to isolate the systems from the security office. Jack's leg burned with every step, a bullet grazed from Hector Vargas's earlier shot tearing at his resolve, but Ryan's blood on his hands and Luis's scream in his ears drove him forward. "Sub-level secure room 50 yards, Lisa's voice crackled through the comms, strained but steady. "East tunnel access, Salazar's teams are converging on admin. You've got minutes." "Copy," Jack grunted, shoving open a maintenance hatch. The narrow tunnel yawned below, a concrete throat lined with pipes and humming conduits. He dropped in first, boots thudding on damp stone, then turned to help Camila down. Her hands shook as she gripped his, her voice a broken whisper. "Jack, if I don't make it, find Luis. Promise me." He met her eyes, seeing Emily's in hers, wide, pleading, lost. "I promise," he said, the words of vow carved into his soul. Sophia and Doc followed, sealing the hatch, as distant shouts echoed from above. Salazar's men, closing in like wolves on a wounded deer. They navigated the tunnel's twists, the roar of the helicopter overhead vibrating through the walls. Jack's mind churned, Nate's betrayal, Ryan's sacrifice, Salazar's taunting laugh, each a shard of glass grinding against his sanity. They emerged beneath the sub-level secure room, a reinforced vault designed for riots, its steel door gleaming under flickering lights. Doc barricaded it behind them, while Sophia swept the space, a cot, a radio, a single bulb casting stark shadows. Camila sank against the wall, clutching her knees. "He's got my boy, my little Luis." Jack crouched beside her, his voice soft but ironclad. "We're getting him back, Camila. You're testifying Salazar's finished." Before she could reply, the facility intercom crackled again, Miguel Salazar's voice slithering through the static. "Sullivan, your time's up. I've got men at every exit and a blade at your guards' throats. Give me Camila, or this place becomes a graveyard, starting with that kid you're so fond of." "He's lying," Sophia said, her rifle steady. "He won't kill Luis yet. He needs him to break her." Jack's fist clenched, Salazar's words igniting a fire that had simmered for 12 years. "Lisa, chopper status?" "Salazar's still in the yard," Lisa reported. "Hector's with him, 4 operators holding the LZ. South teams breached the hub, East teams stalled by Doc's traps. But Jack, they're rigging something big, maybe gas, sub-level vents." "Damn it," Jack muttered, glancing at the ceiling vents. "He's smoking us out." He turned to Sophia. "Take Camila deeper, emergency shaft north end. I'm ending this." "Jack, no." Sophia grabbed his arm, her eyes fierce. "You go up there, you're dead, and Louise is next. We need you alive." Doc stepped in, his voice calm but firm. "She's right, Chief. Revenge gets you a bullet. Strategy gets us Salazar." Jack's chest heaved, torn between duty and the primal urge to bury Salazar in the rubble of his own arrogance. Then it hit, a glint in his vest pocket. Ryan's photo, blood-smeared but unbroken. He pulled it out, the smiling faces of Ryan's family staring back, a mirror to his own loss. "All right," he said, voice cracking. "We hold here. Draw them in." But fate had other plans. A deafening blast rocked the tunnel behind them, concrete dust billowing as the east wall caved. Hector Vargas emerged from the debris, his scarred face twisted in a snarl, leading 3 operators in gas masks. "Found you?" he growled, leveling a submachine gun. Jack dove, shoving Camila behind the cot as bullets tore through the air. Sophia returned fire, her shots ringing off Hector's armor, while Doc hurled a flashbang from his kit. The detonation flared white, disorienting the attackers, but Hector charged through, slamming Sophia against the wall with a sickening crunch. She crumpled, gasping, blood trickling from her temple. "Doc, get her!" Jack yelled, rolling into cover and firing twice. 1 operator down, chest blooming red. He lunged at Hector, tackling him to the ground in a tangle of fists and steel. The enforcer's strength was brutal, a fist hammering Jack's jaw, but Jack drove his knee into Hector's gut, then snapped his arm back with a crack. Hector roared, slashing with a knife that grazed Jack's thigh, deeper this time, blood soaking his pants. Camila screamed, scrambling for Sophia's dropped rifle, her hands shaking as she aimed. "Stay away from them," she cried, firing wildly. A bullet grazed Hector's shoulder, giving Jack the opening to slam his pistol butt into the man's skull. Hector slumped, unconscious, as the last operator fell to Doc's steady shotgun blast. Jack staggered up, legs screaming, and hauled Sophia to the cot. You still with me?" She nodded weakly, blood matting her hair. "Always, F8. Then the chopper's roar intensified, and Salazar himself stepped into the yard's spotlight, visible through a cracked window. Jack froze as Salazar pulled something from his coat, a child's bracelet, glinting silver, identical to Emily's. "Sullivan!" Salazar shouted, his voice cutting the night. "Recognize this? I kept it, a memento of your little girl's last day. Pity I didn't keep her longer." Jack's world shattered, the bracelet a dagger through his heart. He stumbled to the window, fists pounding the glass, tears scalding his cheeks. "You bastard!" he roared, voice raw. "She was sex!" Salazar laughed. That laugh then paused, his tone shifting. "I lost a daughter too, Reaper. War takes from us all." The words stunned Jack, a crack in Salazar's armor, truth or taunt. Before he could process it, Hector stirred, lunging with a hidden blade. Jack spun, taking the strike to his shoulder, and slammed Hector back down, zip-tying him as FBI sirens wailed in the distance. Salazar retreated to the chopper, but Jack's eyes locked on that bracelet. Emily's ghost, Luis's hope, and a monster's confession he'd unravel if it killed him. The sublevel secure room of the Rio Grande ice facility felt like a tomb as the clock pushed past 300, its steel walls slick with condensation and stained with the blood of battle. Jack Sullivan slumped against the cot, his shoulder throbbing where Hector Vargas's blade had bitten deep, his thigh a pulsing mess of torn muscle and crimson-soaked fabric. Sofia Morales lay beside him, her head bandaged by Doc Grayson's steady hands, her breathing shallow but defiant. Camila Ortiz sat hunched in the corner, clutching Sofia's rifle like a lifeline, her eyes darting to the sealed door as if expecting Salazar's men to burst through any second. The air hummed with the distant whine of FBI sirens, a faint lifeline in the chaos, but the battle wasn't over. Not yet. Jack's gaze lingered on Ryan Keller's crumpled photo, still clutched in his bloodied fist, a family smiling under a sun that would never rise for them again. Emily's face flickered behind his eyes, her bracelet now a taunting ghost in Salazar's hands. He forced himself up, wincing as his leg buckled, and keyed his comms. "Lisa, status? Where's Salazar?" Lisa Harper's voice crackled back, strained from the security office. "Chopper's still in the yard, but Salazar and Hector are gone. Cartel reinforcements pulled them out. I count 5 vehicles circling the perimeter, 20+ hostiles. They're regrouping, Jack, and they've got Nate with them." "Nate?" Jack's voice rasped, fury flaring anew. "Brooks is out there?" Thermal caught him exiting east. He's with their tech specialist now, working the grid. BFBI's 15 minutes out. They're hitting resistance at the gate. Sophia stirred, her voice weak but sharp. "He's not done screwing us. If he's with Salazar, they'll crack our lockdown." Jack's mind raced. Nate's betrayal had cost Ryan's life, and now the Green Beret was handing Salazar the keys to finish them. He turned to Doc. "How's she holding?" "Sophia's concussed, needs stitches, not combat," Doc said, his calm fraying. "You're worse, that leg's a mess and you've lost blood. We need the infirmary, Chief." "No time," Jack said, hauling himself to the radio. "Lisa, route us to the director's office. Panic room's our last stand. Can you hold the systems?" "Trying," Lisa replied. "They're hammering the grid. Nate's good, Jack. I've isolated critical controls, but it's a race." Camila's voice broke the tension, small but fierce. "Let me go to him, Jack. Luis, he's all I have. Salazar won't stop unless he gets me." Jack spun, pain forgotten as he gripped her arm. "You go out there, you're dead, and Luis is next. We're not trading you, we're saving you both." Her eyes welled, but she nodded, clinging to his promise like a drowning woman to driftwood. Jack led them out, Sophia limping at his side, Doc supporting her with the shotgun ready. The tunnel air stung his wounds, each step a battle against collapse. But Ryan's photo and Emily's bracelet fueled him, a fire that wouldn't gut her out. They reached the director's office through a hidden shaft, its reinforced walls a fortress against the storm outside. Doc barricaded the door with a desk, while Sophia slumped into a chair, her rifle clattering to the floor. Jack pulled a gun safe from the wall, cracking it open with an override code. A shotgun and handgun gleamed inside, ammo sparse but precious. He handed the pistol to Camila. "You said Salazar trained you?" She took it, hands trembling but resolute. "I shot at him once in Chihuahua, missed, but I won't again." Jack nodded, a flicker of respect cutting through his exhaustion. He turned to the radio, dialing Colonel Daniel Pierce's secure line. "Pierce, it's Sullivan. Salazar's here." "You knew he'd come, didn't you?" Pierce's voice came cool and clipped. "We needed him on U.S. soil, Jack. Mexico's a sieve, too many leaks. Camila was the bait, you were the trap." Jack's fist slammed the desk, cracking the wood. "You used me, used her kid, for your damn chess game?" "Justice needs sacrifices," Pierce said, unyielding. "You wanted Salazar, I gave you the shot. Was I wrong?" Jack's breath hitched, Emily's bracelet flashing in his mind, Salazar's taunt, his confession. "No," he admitted, voice raw, "but next time, I get the full deck, or I walk." "Fair," Pierce conceded. "FBI's closing, hold the line." The comms cut and Jack turned to his team, their faces etched with grit and weariness. Then Nate's voice broke through the static unbidden on an open channel. "Jack, it's Brooks. I'm with them, but I'm not done. I'll get Luis out, I owe you that." Sophia snorted, blood crusting her brow. "He's lying, covering his ass." "Maybe," Jack said, staring at the radio. "Or maybe he's got one play left." Lisa's update interrupted. "Nate's signal's moving south, away from the facility. Could be a decoy." Jack's mind spun. Nate, the traitor who'd traded Ryan's life for his wife's, now offering redemption? He pushed it aside, focusing on the monitors Doc had patched into. Cartel teams regrouped in the central hub, their tech specialists bolstered by Nate cracking the lockdown. Outside, FBI gunfire lit the night, but the reinforcements held them at bay. "We've got 10 minutes, Jack said, voice steady despite the pain. "They'll hit us hard, all or nothing." He looked at Camila. "You're why they're here. Your testimony ends this. Hold on for Luis." She straightened, wiping her tears. "I've run from him for years, hid, lied, prayed. No more." Sophia managed a weak smile. "That's my girl." Jack's eyes caught hers, a silent pact, trust forged in blood and fire. He handed her the shotgun. "You're still in this, Morales." "Till the end," she said, gripping it tight. The radio flared again, Pierce's voice cutting through. "Jack, new intel. Salazar's got a fallback site south of the border. Luis might be there. You get Camila through this, we'll hit it." Hope flickered in Jack's chest, fragile but real. Emily's bracelet a wound, Luis a chance. He turned to the team, his voice a quiet roar. "We're not just surviving, we're winning. For Ryan, for Luis, for every bastard Salazar's broken." Outside, the night pulsed with war, the director's office a last bastion under siege, and Jack Sullivan, battered but unbowed, ready to face the dawn, or die trying. The director's office of the Rio Grande ICE facility stood like a battered lighthouse as dawn crept over the horizon, its first rays piercing the smoke that hung heavy over the Texas plains. Jack Sullivan braced against the reinforced door, his body a tapestry of wounds, shoulder bleeding, thighs screaming, every breath a jagged fight against collapse. Inside, Sophia Morales gripped her shotgun with blood-crusted hands, her concussed haze giving way to a fierce clarity. Doc Grayson tended Camila Ortiz, who clutched a pistol with knuckles white as bone, her tear-streaked face hardening into something unbreakable. The radio crackled with Lisa Harper's voice. "FBI's breached the gate 5 minutes out. Hold on, Jack." But the cartel's final push loomed closer, a storm ready to break. Jack peered through the bulletproof window, the exercise yard a graveyard of twisted metal and fallen bodies. Salazar's chopper sat abandoned, its blades stilled, but his reinforcements, 5 SUVs bristling with gunmen, circled like vultures. Nate Brooks's betrayal echoed in the silence, his promise to save Luis a fragile thread Jack couldn't grasp. Ryan Keller's photo lay on the desk, blood-speared faces staring up, a reminder of the cost, a mirror to Emily's loss 12 years ago in Juarez. "Movement," Sophia rasped, pointing to the monitors Doc had rigged. Cartel operators, 8 inside, 20 outside, massed at the central hub, their tech specialist hammering the lockdown with Nate's help. "They're coming for us, all in." Jack nodded, his voice a low growl. "Let him. We've got the choke point. One way in, no way out." He handed Doc the last shotgun shells. "You're our rock, Grayson. Keep her safe." Doc loaded the weapon, his steady hands unshaken. "Always, Chief." Camila stood, her voice trembling but firm. "I'm not hiding anymore. Luis needs me, I fight for him." Jack met her gaze, seeing a mother's fire where despair had once ruled. "Then you're with us," he said, a flicker of pride cutting through his exhaustion. The assault hit like a tidal wave. A breaching charge blew the outer office door off its hinges, stun grenades rolling in with blinding flashes and concussive roars. Jack ducked behind a filing cabinet, shouting, "Eyes shut, ears down!" The blasts rocked the room, but he fired through the haze, dropping 2 operators as they stormed in. Sophia's shotgun boomed, shredding a third, while Camila's wild shots clipped a fourth, her aim shaky but her will iron. "They're too many," Doc yelled, dragging a wounded operator's body for cover as bullets tore through the desks. Jack's pistol clicked empty, forcing him to lunge for a fallen rifle, 3 rounds left. The cartel pushed harder, their numbers overwhelming, until a new sound pierced the chaos. FBI tactical boots pounding the halls, gunfire erupting outside as federal agents engaged the perimeter. "Reinforcements!" Sophia shouted, hope flaring in her voice, but the inner office door buckled under a second charge, and Jack knew they weren't clear yet. He fired his last rounds, buying seconds as the FBI closed in. Then a figure loomed through the smoke. Miguel Salazar himself, limping from Jack's earlier shot, his suit torn but his eyes blazing with fury. "Sullivan!" Salazar roared, leveling a pistol. "You can't save her or that boy!" Jack dove as the shot splintered the cabinet, rolling to his feet with a knife from his boot. He charged, slamming into Salazar with a force born of 12 years' rage. Emily's scream, Laura's blood, Luis's cry fueling every blow. They crashed to the floor, Salazar's gun skittering away as he slashed with a hidden blade, slicing Jack's forearm. "You're nothing," Salazar spat, his voice cracking. "I kept her bracelet because I lost my... And you think you're the only one who bleeds?" The words froze Jack, a confession tearing through his hate. "Anna? A daughter?" He hesitated, fist raised, and Salazar laughed, bitter and broken. "Kill me, Reaper, it changes nothing." Jack's hand shook, Emily's bracelet glinting in his mind. A trophy or a wound? "No," he growled, slamming Salazar's head into the floor, zip-tying his wrists. "You face the fire. For her, for Louise, for every soul you've crushed." FBI agents stormed in, securing Salazar as Jack staggered back, blood dripping from his arm. Sophia and Doc held the line, Camila safe behind them, her pistol still smoking. The facility fell quiet, the dawn's light spilling through shattered windows, a fragile peace after a night of hell. Hours later, Jack stood in the yard, FBI teams processing the wreckage. Salazar and Hector were cuffed, headed for federal lockup, but Luis remained a ghost. Pierce's intel pointed to a cartel safehouse south of the border. Camila approached, her eyes red but steady. "You kept me alive, Jack. Now find my son, like you'd find Emily if you could." He nodded, throat tight. "I will. Your testimony's the start. We'll gut Santa Rosa, root and stem." She squeezed his hand, a silent thank you, then boarded an FBI van for a secure site. Sophia joined him, her head stitched but her spirit unbowed. "You trusted me," she said softly. "After everything." "You earned it," Jack replied, glancing at Ryan's photo in his pocket. "We all paid for it." Doc limped over, a rare smile breaking his stoic mask. "Keller pulled through. He's in surgery, but he'll make it. Said you owe him a beer." Jack's chest loosened, a laugh escaping. Raw, real, a spark of light in the dark. "Damn right I do." Colonel Pierce approached, his polished boots stark against the carnage. "Hell of a night, Sullivan. Salazar's your call on what's next. There's a desk waiting if you want it." Jack stared at the horizon, Emily's bracelet, a weight he'd carry forever. But Luis was out there, a chance to rewrite one ending. "I'll think about it," he said, knowing he wouldn't stop. "Get me that safe house. I've got a kid to find." Pierce nodded, a flicker of respect in his eyes. For what it's worth, Laura and Emily would have been proud. Jack turned away, the dawn warming his face as he pulled Emily's memory close. Not a wound now, but a fire. Nate's voice lingered in his mind, a promise untested. Redemption or ruse? The war wasn't over, but for the first time in 12 years, Jack felt something shift. A whisper of hope, fragile but alive.